Hello everyone, the Gaming Otter here, and we're back for one final video. This is the finale to the whole Gamexplain underpaying drama. Unfortunately, a lot of the big problem was caused by Andre because he had a really poor response initially, and if we go down, there's his original statement, the one about he said, pretty much deflecting everything. So we're going to get into his newest statement. And does it do better? Well, if you see my response, and we'll see it when I actually go over here, a vast improvement over the original, still need to explain how you plan on making sure it'll never happen again, 7 out of 10. And we even got Omni with the Uncle Iroh, so not bad. I find it interesting when your employees talk about the terrible work conditions. I've never felt more vulnerable or isolated. This has been difficult week of my life. Yeah, it is very interesting how Andre talks about his feelings because, quite frankly, we'll get into it in a second, but just going down the replies quickly. As an employer myself of a small team, I can 100% understand your feelings, so I sympathize. We're not perfect. So some people are sympathetic, others want to challenge him to make sure that they'll pay people on time, which is understandable. So let's go into this twit longer, right? And let's read it. I had been trying to handle things privately and stay out of the online fray, but I now realize that it isn't possible. So here's what I have to say from the heart. This has been the most difficult week of my life. There have been moments when I felt like I couldn't breathe from a pressure that wouldn't go away. Having what feels like the entire internet come weighing down on you is a level of hatred I wouldn't wish upon even my worst enemy. Every single action I took, or didn't take, was scrutinized to a level few are familiar with. I've never felt more vulnerable or isolated or hurt. Well, Andre, it's because of how you underpaid your employees and because your response was terrible. Okay? And it hurts that this stems from people that I truly do respect and that did consider my friends. So, yeah, I'm not liking this part either. Just the month before they departed Gamexplain, one of them even stated that I was one of their closest friends. I can only speculate what changed or if there was truth in the statement in the first place, but it's partially why I was caught by surprise. Working remotely can be extremely challenging, and I'm sure, as a lot of people have learned this past year, you rarely see your coworkers face to face, and transparency isn't inherent like working in the office. One can only be aware of so much beyond what they're being told, and I'm learning now to be much more proactive in reaching out to prevent issues from arising later. Okay, that's a start. I definitely recognize truth in some of their statements. I have done a lot of self-reflecting over the last week, and I am committed to improving how I manage staff in the future, and I would also like to give some context in the issues. Okay, so we're getting more response. This is good. This is a vast improvement. First, the $1 or $2. I did some quick math, and I cannot find a way how to understand how this makes sense. Maybe it was said offhandedly, or maybe the individual in question was spending far more time on these assignments than I ever realized. If this was an issue I had been made aware of, I would have taken immediate action to reconcile it. I don't know if I 100% agree with that, but we'll give you the benefit of the doubt here. Regardless, the general point for the pay being too low is fair, and we've since addressed that with better pay combined with clear expectations and timelines, both for contractors and full employers. Okay, that's good. Next, working severe overtime to finish a game embargo. This shouldn't have happened, period. Okay, good, he agrees with that. The reviewer seemed eager to dive in, and I got caught up in the excitement, but I know too well how draining rushing to meet an embargo can be. As I've subjected myself to these same conditions multiple times, we've addressed this by improving communication and with the staff, current projects, tracking how their progress matches up with the planned deadlines, and making adjustments as needed. Personally, I don't think they should have rushed the Final Fantasy game because Gamexplain is not known for Final Fantasy. It's known for Nintendo. And Final Fantasy, while has been on Nintendo systems before, isn't primarily associated with Nintendo, because it's more on other platforms. That isn't to say that Final Fantasy games haven't been future releases after the whole PlayStation era, but that being said, you know, if I'm going to look for a Final Fantasy review, Gamexplain's probably not going to be my first place. Now, I can understand them rushing, say, Mario or a Zelda title, but even then, like, those games are usually a lot more straightforward and quicker to complete if you're just trying to complete the main story. Now, granted, with Zelda, obviously, you're going to have a lot of collectibles and things like that, so that in a review might not necessarily be completely necessary. Just getting through the main story is fine enough. That being said, I think if you plan on rushing a game, I would say Final Fantasy VII wouldn't be a game. I think they need a rush. They could take their time on that. I don't think they're like gonna make so much more views as they think they are. Ultimately, payments. Yep, I often did take an unnecessary amount of time to send out payments, and there really is no excuse. Good. There is a lot of work that goes into managing a channel of this size, with tasks and notifications constantly beckoning for my attention, and I'm unfortunately forgetful and easily distracted, but that doesn't excuse anything, and paying my staff should be a top priority above all else. I have since taken steps to ensure this doesn't happen again by automated payments through payroll service. Great! This is what we wanted you to do all along. So this is definitely one improvement. Now, this is what he says. We don't know if he's actually going to do it, but hopefully he says he's going to do it. That's all I can say. I never set out to become YouTube famous or to employ a staff for my channel. It grew over time as demand increases, and the policies that we had in place were much smaller, don't work for a company of this size. I know that now. I had already spent the better part of last year, the steps to put a better system, and it's a bummer that the original members aren't around to benefit from it. But this truly has a learning experience, and I hope we deploy the lessons as I working on myself and my company's policies as we move forward. If you've gotten this far, thank you for reading. I am far from perfect, but I am trying. I love my team, and we are truly united by our passion for gaming and fueled by our incredible fans. I really appreciate those who I have reached out and envy. I will be forever grateful. I am sorry for those I have hurt. Good. And I promise I will do better. Much better. So overall, vast improvement. The reason why I give it a 7 out of 10 is I just think that it could be maybe a little more understanding. I think this $1 to $2 thing, I think he could have looked into that a little bit more. Granted, maybe he didn't understand everything, and I think he should have just looked into that. Like, who was the employee? He needs to address people by their names. It just seems like he's doing everything a little covertly. Would like to see who he's addressing. You know, employees are not just faceless people. They are people. And I do think there's a little bit of dehumanization still, but it's definitely an improvement. It's less dehumanization than before, but there's still a little bit of it because I don't really see people's names. You know, there is talk about improvement, but do we know if he's going to do that? I hope he does. I hope he learns from his lesson. And so if we go to Good Vibes Gaming, just to make sure you guys know, they have a Patreon. Make sure to follow them on Twitter. And here's their channel, just so you guys can see. Yep, go subscribe. They're a great group of guys. Definitely give them a look. They just did a video with Sugar Conroy. They did a deep dive with Bowser's Fury. And they even did a video with Spawnwave, which is cool. But hopefully, at the end of the day, Andre, I hope you've learned a lesson from this. Because the internet will call you out when you do something wrong. Hopefully you have understood the error of your ways. And you make a better improvement for not just yourself, but also the people around you. Because people on your team, they care about you. They want you to do better. And the internet will call you out for that. That is the ultimate learning of this whole lesson that's gone. Bottom line, just listen to your employees. If they're getting underpaid, if they're doing to it, and you need to be more proactive in that manner. So guys, what do you think? Did you think that Andre handled this well? I think he handled it better. I still think there's room for improvement, as always, but it's a vast improvement from his original response, because let's be honest here, this original response, those 3 paragraphs, that was terrible. Because it was pure deflection. It was awful. This, much better. He actually says, I'm sorry for I have hurt. And he takes more accountability. But that being said, yes, very much improved over this garbage statement. So Andre, I give you a pat on the back. I even liked your statement because it was much better. But guys, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. What did you think? Do you think Andre did a better job? Do you think Andre didn't do a better job? Do you think, is there anything that you think that he should do that was better? What do you think he did well? And again, let me know in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye!